Hi, welcome back to Everybody's Pharmacy. I'm Tamitha. Today I want to share with you the top 10 vegetables that I believe are the easiest to grow for beginners. Plus, we're going to go over some companion plants to help ward off all the pests that can be attacking your plants. And I want to show you guys how to read a seed packet. Growing up, my parents had several gardens. I was always out there helping them, but I never actually asked a whole lot of questions. I just kind of did what I was told. And some of this information stuck with me, but then after I got older, I got my own property. I'm like, I'm going to grow a garden just like my parents did when I was a kid. I went to the store. I bought tons and tons of seeds. I bought seed starting trays. I bought seed starting soil. I bought fertilizer. I bought all the things, went home, planted them in a seed tray, added water, and only just a handful of things grew. I'm like, oh my gosh. What did I do wrong? So I started over. I got very overwhelmed because, for one, I was growing some stuff that I thought would grow great anywhere, but there's certain plants that don't grow so well in your zone or your climate that may be great where I was at before, but it wasn't doing so well where I was at currently. So I just kind of threw everything on the back burner, and then COVID happened, and I'm like, okay, I need to get back on this. So I started doing research, started going kind of crazy again, buying all the seeds, buying the trays, buying the soil, spending a lot of money that I didn't need to be buying or spending on stuff that I didn't need. And lo and behold, yeah, I kind of had the same situation, but I had to take a breather. Thankfully, YouTube was out and I was able to do some research, asking my parents the questions. So today I want to share with you, to help you guys to avoid frustration, my top 10 veggies that I believe are the easiest to grow in just about any zone that you're in. My first tip is to buy seeds, not just within your climate, in your zone, but also buy seeds for items that you're actually going to eat. It's a little frustrating when you start to grow something and you're like, I really don't like bok choy or carrots or spinach, but you grew them. I mean, I guess you could hand them out, but if this is going to be your first time growing things, try to pick something that you enjoy to eat. Okay, the first veggie that is the easiest, that I believe is the easiest to grow and that grows just about everywhere, is lettuces. Now you can do this in head lettuce, but if you're doing just for the leaf lettuce, I like to actually just plant these straight into the ground. You just sprinkle them very heavy and they're going to grow, and you're just kind of giving them a haircut just like you do grass, and it'll grow, and you'll probably get like 3 to 4 harvests off of them. I would maybe just do a couple rows and then like a week or so later do a couple more rows, and they're called cut and come again. So you're just going to just be trimming them. By the time you get this here trimmed off, then you'll have another couple rows. So you want to go by how much your family eats of lettuce. Now, if you're doing it for the heads, you are going to have to space them out according to what it says on the back. I will show you at the end of these seeds. I'm showing you how to actually read a seed packet. But number one is lettuce. Grows just about anywhere. And it's a cooler weather crop. And there's a rule that if you're going to be eating the leaves, you keep it more in the shade. If you're going to be eating the roots, then you're going to be wanting them more in the sun. So these are partial shade. You can plant them in the sun, but you don't want the sun to be beating down on them. But yeah, just read the seed packet and follow the directions, I guess. Sticking to the leafy greens, the next one I like to grow and I think is very, very easy is Swiss chard. These ones here, the seeds are big enough to where you can actually space them out. You do want to space them out. You don't want to do them heavy like you do with you can do spinach heavy too, but you don't want to do these as heavy as you do with the lettuce. So these ones here, you do want to space them out. It says 4 to 6 inches. So, you can measure something for 6 inches, but these ones are awesome to grow, very easy to grow. Same thing, 6 to 8 hours of sunlight or partial shade sunlight. They do very, very well. Continuing with leafy greens is cabbage. I don't really like cabbage. There's a few recipes that I have that calls for cabbage that I like to make. Sauerkraut, kimchi, things like that. But just to be munched on cabbage, put in salads. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I do grow. I don't have any different varieties other than this here. But same way with the Swiss chard, you just want to space them out 4 to 6 inches. And well, actually, wait a minute, no, I read that wrong. Sorry. This is why you read instructions. So these ones do get bigger heads, so you do need to space them out. It says 6 to 12 inches for this one, and these ones here can get to 8 to 10 feet wide. Wow, so you're going to need a lot of space for these ones, but I really feel like cabbage grows very easily. I have a hard time killing it. So hopefully you guys would have great success with this one as well. The last leafy green that I feel is very easy to grow is bok choy. I do use bok choy in stir fry. I actually got this seed packet for free through Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. You just read the instructions on here. Again, it's a leaf that you're going to be eating, so 6 to 8 hours of sunlight, partial shade, does very well, and another cool weather crop. Okay, number 5 is just your regular old green bean and peas. I like snow peas or snap peas. To me, they grow very well. They're very easy to grow, and these ones here you want to space out 6 to 8 inches. Very easy. Absolutely love green beans, love peas, eat them right off the bush. So if you like beans, give these a try. Now the next one is tomatoes. Bunch of different variety of tomatoes. You got the little cherry tomatoes, you got Roma tomatoes, you got the big slicing tomatoes, all different kind of tomatoes. They are very easy to start. You can actually, the stems have little hairs up them. You can stick those further down in there to make a bigger root system. So if you're, when you go to transplant them, if you're going to be growing them inside, you can transplant them up, so it just makes it, stronger. So you can practically bury these things down in the ground so it have a bigger root system. But you can grow these in bags. You can grow them. Some people hang them upside down. I've tried that once. I killed it because I didn't water it enough. It was just a little bit awkward to water it. But yeah, tomatoes for me is the easiest. That and lettuce has been like the easiest. I have never been able to kill the plant except for the one that was hanging upside down, because it rains enough out here and I was able to mulch it really well. And the other thing with tomatoes, they have 2 different kinds. There's determinate and indeterminate. So the indeterminate can grow really tall, and the determinate ones is just, they have a set height that they go. Also, they have these things called suckers that can kind of just go all different directions. So if you don't want your tomato plant to go crazy and wild and you want it to be contained, you can put it in a cage and cut those little suckers off. But yeah, bottom water them. They don't like their leaves to be all wet because they're kind of susceptible to getting mold and everything, mildew. But other than that, I really feel like they are like one of the easiest ones to grow. So get your guys self some tomatoes. So if you have a long growing season and you have a lot of sun and heat, then peppers, I've always had really great success with growing peppers. We have long daylight hours where I'm at like 18 hours, and it can get pretty hot during the summertime. I start these indoors. I've never actually tried to grow these outside in my time zone, in my growing zone, which is 8B or A, one of those two. It changed a couple years back, but yes, peppers. I actually still have jalapeno peppers on my deck, even though we've already had our first frost. It's January 17th. We did have our first frost a couple months ago, but it hasn't really been too frosty since then. But they're still alive. The whole pepper plant is still alive. And actually pepper plants, if you take care of them, cut them down in the fall time, bring them inside, give them a little bit of water every now and then, it'll come back. I've had pepper plants come back like for 3 years. So, and they're really, to me, easy to grow. They are kind of susceptible to different pests and whatnot. But if you plant some of the companion plants I'm going to talk about at the end, then it should help with that. Also making sure you have ladybugs or praying mantises in your garden. Spiders can help with some of the pests as well. But peppers, I feel like, is a must and very easy to grow. The next one, I'm just kind of clumping them all into one because I've had great success with these ones growing. Now, these ones here, because they're root vegetables, you're going to make sure that they are out in the sun for more time than you do with the lettuces. So these ones are going to need like 10 to 12 hours of sunlight. They are cooler weather. I have actually had some grow during the summertime when it's like 80 degrees, but early spring, fall time, these do great. There's beets, there's turnips, there's radishes, all different kind of varieties that I have had great success with growing all of these in my zone here. And these ones here, so anything you're planting for the root, you want to direct seed sow. They do not transplant very well. Same way with carrots. I have not had a whole lot of success with carrots. That's why it's not in this group, this category. Yeah, they I don't know. I'm gonna have to research the carrots. To me, it seems like they're a little bit finicky to germinate, but these ones here has been really great for germination, and you just kind of forget about them a little bit. You do want to make sure they do get water every now and then, but they're kind of low maintenance in my opinion. So definitely get you some root vegetables. The next one that I've seen grow just about anywhere is the squash family. So you have butternut squash, you have zucchini, you have the yellow squash, you have spaghetti squash. There's also pumpkin is considered squash. I've had pumpkin grow very, very well out here where I'm at. They do require a lot of water and they grow pretty fast. So if you have zucchini, you want to make sure you're getting them when they're like maybe 6 inches. And as long as you keep plucking them off, your bush is going to continue to produce a lot of your squashes. For some of the other ones, the bigger squashes, you know, the spaghetti squash, the butternut squash, and whatever that one is, pumpkins, you're going to wait until they actually get to be full size. But for the zucchini squashes and the yellow squash and the gray ones and stuff, you're going to want to just pluck them off so that way it'll keep growing. I counted one year, one bush, I don't know if they're actually bushes, what are they, because it kind of grow in a vine, but squash plant, zucchini, I had 42 squashes come off of one plant. It was awesome. So, but they grow very, very fast. You can go from this size to like ginormous size in like 2 or 3 days. So you definitely have to keep an eye on them, keep them watered, but they low maintenance. I sometimes forget about them. I have a sprinkler system that goes off and just waters them. And so I go out and I'm like, oh wow, I need to harvest because they do grow very quickly. So squashes. All right, last category. These ones I have not grown this particular variety. I do have just the regular old red strawberries, but these things come back every year. I've actually tried to kill these things and they just take over. Like, they're very low maintenance. I've not seen any sort of pest or anything except for birds. I mean, you have to put net over them because the birds will eat them. That's been the only thing I've had problems with other than it taking over. I have a garden bed. I try to contain it in that garden bed and it likes to take over the entire garden bed and the surrounding area. So you do have to be mindful with that, but it's very, very easy to grow and very proliferate and it needs sunshine. Lots of sun for the fruit to grow. And it kind of has its own little canopy. Its leaves kind of protect and hopefully keep some of the birds away. But yeah, birds love these things. I love these things too. But very, very easy to grow and you'll have them for years and years to come. So if it's not something you wish to have for years and years, I wouldn't recommend planting them, but you can keep these in like smaller pots and containers and stuff. Just let you know that they do have runners and they will attach to everything. So like strawberries? Strawberries it is. All right, so I want to go over some companion plants with you that helps to keep some of the pests and bugs and stuff away. So every year I'm always planting different flowers around my tomatoes and squashes and stuff to help keep some of the bugs away, like aphids. There's, oh my gosh, little worms that like to eat everything. But there's marigolds, which I don't have any to show you, calendula, alyssum, but basil, because I use a lot of basil. I have so many different varieties of basil. This also helps to deter pests and stuff. Also thyme and oregano. You know, I want to plant stuff that I'm going to be using. Medicinally, I do calendula and the marigold, just also to add beauty to my garden. But this here, the pollinators love it. It brings in pollinators to the surrounding plants as well, and it helps keep the bad pests away. So get yourself some basil or alyssum or calendula or marigold. All right, now we're going to show you how to read seed packets. Okay, so if you look on your seed packet, it's going to have sell by and it's going to have a date. Now this is not an expiration date. This is just letting you know that this is from 2024, and manufacturers, so like this Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company, they have to sell this packet by this date to help eliminate the, I guess, viability of the seed. That, because like for instance, this one here is, well, this one here is also 2024. I do have some that's okay, so this one here, 2023. So these seeds here, because it's 2 years ago, the seeds may not be as viable as one from 2024. So I may have a lower germination rate. That's all that means. So it doesn't mean that they're bad or expired. I mean, I've grown seeds. I have a packet of seeds, lettuce seeds that I've had for probably 7 years, and they still are growing. But just legally, the manufacturer has to sell them before that date. Now, when you come on the back here, it's going to show you how many days to germinate. It's going to give you information about the item to either direct seed sow, and like I mentioned before, with the root vegetables, but also squashes as well, you want to direct seed sow. They don't transplant very well. I have transplanted them, but I usually have to transplant a whole bunch of them, grow more than what I really need, because they do tend to die off. But direct seed sow if possible. It gives you the temperature in which they germinate. It tells you how long they are, the sizes, the spacing, and then it tells you the days until it's mature. And that means not from the time you plant the seed, but from the time it actually sprouts out of the ground, from that time till the date that it actually matures. And some of these off to the side, it'll actually show you the depth and everything. It'll tell you if it needs to be full sun, and the 2 to 4 months. I'm not quite sure what that means. I guess they grow for 2 to 4 months, or maybe it shows inside. So maybe indoors. You want to start at 2 to 4 months before you plant outside. You know, honestly, I don't know what that's for. But if y'all know, maybe you can just just say, hey, that's what it means. Same with the peppers. It's gonna, some are a little bit more clearer than others, but on the side here, it's gonna tell you sprouts in 7 to 10 days, ideal temperatures, how deep you want to plant the seed, if it's frost hardy, and how many hours in the sun. This here's the peppers. So if you're living in a place that doesn't have temperatures, or they're above that, if you're at the surface of the sun, you may not be able to grow certain things, but you want to check with your zoning. So here's one I like that actually shows you the different zones back here and when you should be planting them. This here is the Fairy and Morris hot peppers. This one here, I believe, is a 2020 seed packet, and these are the jalapeno peppers I actually have growing on my deck right now. So I planted those last year, and they're doing just fine, even though the seed packet expired in 2020. Not expired, but was supposed to be sold by 2020. Yeah, so I like these ones here because it does show you when to start your seeds and it has the map and everything. So my area is in the blue, so I would plant these, seed start them. Now this is for outdoor planting, or it'll say up here, transplant a garden after the frost. So you can plant these inside between April and May. If you're going to be planting them outside, you probably want to plant them, like for me, outside it'd be sometime in May, because that's the last part of the zoning. So other than the root vegetables that I showed you and the squashes, all those are going to be direct seed sowed outside. I also would recommend sowing lettuce and those leafy greens also outside, because they don't transplant very well, and they can they grow pretty quickly, and it's going to overcrowd your cells. So I would probably direct seed sow those outside. So the things that I would probably start in the tray would be the peppers, the tomatoes, the strawberries, and the beans. I would plant direct seed sow those ones outside as well with the peas. But peppers, tomatoes, and strawberries, I think those are the only ones I would actually start in a seed tray. Now, there's the 72, the basic. I don't have one to show you. Yes, I do. Oh. No, I don't. But the basic seed tray, the 72 cell tray that has a little dome over it, you can use those. However, tomatoes, you're going to need to transplant them. If you're going to be starting them inside, you're going to need to transplant them. So I would just start those off in a bigger container, kind of like this inside, and I would do a mixture of seed starting and just basic potting soil. I would do a little bit of potting soil down in the bottom mixed with seed starting, and then closer to the top, I would do seed starting soil, so that way the roots will start to grow, and then it'll go down into the thicker soil. And then when I do my tomatoes, I only put like maybe almost 3/4 of the way with the soil, because once it starts to grow, and if you want that thicker root system, better root system, then once it starts to get so high, I'm trying to show it, but once it gets so high up into your pot, you can actually put more soil in there, and that's going to have the soil come up on that stem. Remember, I was telling you before that they have like a hairy stem that's going to produce more roots up that stem, and it's going to make it a stronger root system on it. So tomatoes, super easy to grow. I mean, they're going to grow pretty quickly. The thing is, any of your plants that you're starting indoors, once they get their true leaves, you're going to want to fertilize, because there's not a whole lot of nutrition in seed starting soil. Most of them don't have any sort of minerals or nutrients that the plant needs to establish a good root system, and they're just going to be stunted. They're just going to get like so big, and then that is it. Because seeds, when they first germinate, when they just have the germination leaves, they're getting most of their nutrients from the seed itself. But then once they get their true leaves, they're going to need the soil to have the nutrients in it for that plant to actually grow. So you're going to need to make sure you get a really good vegetable fertilizer to add that. You can add it into your soil. I've done that in the past, but you have to be very, very careful how much you add, because you can burn the roots. So I would just honestly, because it's your first time and you're starting out, I would just get a liquid fertilizer that you put into the water. So when you're bottom watering, you always want to bottom water. Then you can do that every few weeks or whatever the directions tell you to do. But I wouldn't go crazy, buying all kinds of different soil and stuff like that. You can just use a basic seed starter. I have actually sifted out old potting soil to get all the big chunks of bark and stuff out, and just used that. Just added some like worm castings or whatever to help get the plant more established, and then just started watering with a fertilizer every few weeks. But tomatoes, peppers, I would probably start off in something this size before I put them in the little smaller seed trays, just because they grow fast and they're not going to do as well, because you're going to have to transplant. Every time you transplant, you risk losing some. So if you're starting into a bigger pot like that, then you're going to have a more success rate of it surviving outside. Now, when you're starting indoors, you don't need an actual grow light. a regular shop light, or I've grown with just a regular LED light bulb, and they've done just fine at my mom's. I've done that. They just need the light and stuff. However, whenever you're growing things indoors and you get ready to transfer them outdoors, you have to do do it slowly. You don't want to like take them out there because they're not used to the sunlight. They might burn their leaves and stuff. So you want to take them out slowly. So 30 minutes one day, and then in a couple of days, you know, you do 30 minutes every day for like 2 or 3 days. And then you want to increase that. If it's really, really hot, you probably just want to leave them out there for just a few minutes. Maybe just put them in the shade for a little bit. But you want to make sure you get them hard. It's called hardening off, to make sure that they aren't going to get burnt. And then once you do that for, let's just say, 2 weeks before you want to actually plant them outside, start that about 2 weeks. So just increasing every 2 or 3 days by like 15 minutes. So that way they are getting used to the sunlight. Now, if you're direct seed sowing outside, I just make my own compost. I put in dead leaves, I put in grass clippings, I put in wood chips, I mix in weeds that I have picked out there, make sure they're no seeds on them. But I just make my own compost. Kitchen scraps, that has been like the best soil that I have ever got. I purchased soil, organic and compost soil, and by far, whatever I have made has done wonders. Also, you don't need to buy expensive fertilizer either. You can actually make your own fertilizer. I may do another video on that one. But when you go to put your seeds in a soil, I just make sure I kind of run my hand through it, make sure there's no big chips or whatever, because those roots, the little tiny roots, need to be able to go through. But if you just look in nature, I mean, nature's not sifting through a whole lot of the soil, right? So, and it's survival of the fittest. I swear that I've heard twice now somebody walking up on this door. It freaks me out sometimes. But anyway. Okay, so as I was saying, you don't need to really overthink the soil, as long as it's not what I call dead soil, which means it's just got nothing. Just look around. If nothing's growing in it, more than likely your seedlings are not going to grow in it, and your seeds aren't going to sprout in it. So you want to make sure that your soil is compost. You got good organic compost. And you can make your own. Very, very easy, very, very simple. Usually you start that in the fall time. You just start layering stuff on top of each other. So you can just buy some organic compost, or just some organic compost. You would probably have to add fertilizer to that. I make my own fertilizer, which I said I'll make a video of that, because this one here is probably pretty long right now. But yeah, you just have fun with it. Grow things that you're going to enjoy. Don't grow a whole bunch of stuff that you're like, I don't know what to do with all of this. And hopefully you would have abundance of whatever it is you're growing, whether it's something you like or something you dislike. Hopefully you guys are growing things that you enjoy. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to this spring, this summer with sharing. I'm going to be posting more content on here. I have more time in my life. My life was kind of hectic for the last couple of years. So I kind of been MIA, in and out. So yeah, so anyway, you guys, thanks for hanging out with me, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully it wasn't too long. Hopefully I wasn't rambling too much, and you guys got a lot of good information. Anyway, go ahead, subscribe, like, share, and I'll see you in the next video.